I'm in Karyn's home, and to put more of a finer point on it, I'm actually in Karyn's bedroom, and this is a room in Karyn's house that she knows only too well. In fact, she has spent much of her life, for the past 5 years, living inside this one room in her house. She has what has been known for many years, CFS, chronic fatigue syndrome, but what now people who have this are more likely to call it myalgic encephalomyelitis. Karyn, thanks for inviting me into your home, and I say inviting me in because I couldn't even meet you at the front door. You were unable to get out of your bedroom to come and invite me in. You opened up the roller door remotely. This is some sort of condition that is very hard for people like me who can come and go and do as we please, but for someone like you who can't. They call it the silent and misunderstood illness. Why is it described that way?
I think a big part of the problem is that so many ME sufferers are housebound and bedbound, so we tend to just disappear from life and become forgotten, I guess. It's also very difficult because doctors aren't yet sufficiently educated by and large about the illness and have difficulty adequately managing it, so it becomes quite difficult even to get something basic like medical care.
So you've got doctors, not many of them understand it, know how to treat it and have that empathy for someone like you. And in the general community, there's probably a long way to go to educate people about what this illness means for someone like you.
Yes, definitely. I think that is a big problem because we're out of sight and out of mind. People don't really have an understanding of the physical nature of the illness and the physical and the cognitive issues that it presents.
Well, tell us a little bit more about you. How long have you had this diagnosis of CFS? How long has this played such a big role in your life?
I first came down with what was then called CFS in 1990. I was off work for some months, but recovered to some extent over a period of about 2 years, and was then at probably 75 to 80% of normal. But about 10 years ago I started declining quite dramatically again. 6 years ago I had to give up work. I couldn't even manage part-time work any longer, and for the past 3.5 years I've been bedridden, confined to the bedroom.
How many times have you left your house in the past 3.5 years?
About 4 times in that period of time, and that's only when you're really desperate because you'll pay for it for about a week afterwards.
For people who don't understand what the physical symptoms are of this condition, you say you'll pay for it. What is it that your body is going through on a daily basis? Try and give us a sense of how it feels to wake up in your skin every day.
You feel like you've been hit by a truck, just aching all over, exhaustion, like you can't even lift yourself off the bed. I've had a lot of trouble with vertigo and dizziness, those sorts of things. My body has a lot of trouble regulating my heart rate and blood pressure, so it's very difficult for me to be upright, even sitting in bed for a few minutes at a time. Pain. The cognitive difficulties are difficult also. It's like a double whammy, having the physicality of the illness but also the cognitive difficulties. So as an avid reader, I can't read for more than a few minutes at a time, and only at night. I can only watch a video for 10 minutes at a time. It just affects every single function of your day.
And you were a highly trained professional in optometry. Just 6 years ago, you'd be getting up, putting on the clothes, the makeup, brushing your teeth and heading out the door. What is it like for you in a psychological way to have to live now in one room and know that you can't go outside and do a bit of gardening because, as you say, you'll pay for that? In fact, you're lying there talking to me now because you can't sit up for very long.
Yes, that's right. It takes time. It's probably one of the most difficult aspects for any of us, I think. I was someone who was always wanting to be doing things for other people, and it's very difficult to learn to be dependent on those same people now.
One of those people is, of course, your very dedicated husband. He gets up every day and his life is so different to what it was before. He works full-time and also comes home and does what you called the double shift. He comes home and looks after you and looks after the house. And this is the sort of person who never played that role before.
Yes, he wasn't one to be cooking or doing any of those sorts of household things really before. It was something that was my domain, so it's been very difficult for him to have to take on all those roles and just be everything as well as doing a full-time job.
Does he get down about this? I asked you about your mental health. How's he going?
He says he's good. I think men keep it to themselves more, but I think he's managing really well.
And you've got two daughters in their 20s. You were saying to me earlier that they've now left the nest and have begun to build their lives on their own with homes that you haven't even seen yet.
Yes, that was really hard to see them buy their first home, and that was about 18 months ago, and I still haven't been able to go up and see it. So those sorts of things are really difficult still.
So much of these issues, there'll be a spotlight thrown on them on May the 12th, which, as Kel mentioned, was Florence Nightingale's birthday, which is why you want this awareness day. What would make your life a little bit easier in terms of perhaps government support or, even Medicare or pharmaceutical benefit scheme support and research? But what would make your life just that little bit easier for you as you hope that one day you'll recover from this?
One of the big things is to be able to just go to a local doctor and have them understand how to adequately treat your illness, so more GP education, and then simple things like more doctors taking on or making available Skype appointments. At the moment, I have to rely on telephone consults with my doctor, but I get no Medicare rebate then because it's not an in-person consult. So just most basic things like that, as well as dramatically increasing the amount of research that's being done. At the moment, it's virtually nil.
So we need more money, more attention put into trying to find the causes of this disease, and perhaps one day some sort of medical intervention that might help you recover. Do you hold out hope that you will one day recover from this? What's the anecdotal evidence telling you? Do people get through the other side of CFS and go back to leading a normal life? Can you see a time that you'll get up and you'll put your clothes on, your makeup on and head out the door and get back into your profession?
I'm a very optimistic person, so I can't live without, I can't imagine not ever being hopeful. Perhaps that's one of the reasons the suicide rate is so high in this illness. You do have to keep hope. I forget the rest of your question. I'm declining cognitively, I'm sorry.
That's fine. We will wrap this up anyway. I guess, like many people who'd be listening to this who can't put themselves in your shoes, the big thing is money into research and trying to find some answers and for people like you to have a better outlook.
Yes, definitely.
Karyn, thanks very much for explaining where you are with this. We do appreciate your time and allowing me into this one room in your house where you spend so much of your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. The other thing I would like to say is for sufferers of this illness, if they'd like to go to the Change for Me website, that's www.changeforme.net, you'll find that you can register the needs that you have at the moment in coping with your illness, and there's also a section there for healthy volunteers to see if there's something they'd be willing to do to help sufferers.
It's a good way of connecting people without you having to physically go and put out to the office there. Thanks again for your time, Karyn.
Thanks so much, Terry, and thanks for covering the story.